A massive wave of strikes has erupted across Russia and the occupied territories, marking one of the most widespread nights of explosions in recent weeks. Monitoring channels report simultaneous blasts, air raid alerts, and frantic air defense activity stretching from Crimea to central Russia, underscoring how Ukraine continues to project pressure deep behind enemy lines. In occupied Crimea, a series of powerful explosions shook the areas around Saki and Novofedorivka, once again targeting facilities crucial to Russian aviation. Mykolaiivka saw a chaotic scene as Russian air defense units reportedly fired on one of their own aircraft in the confusion created by incoming drones. The southern mainland offered no relief, with Taganrog, Novorossiysk, and Rostov-on-Don all reporting active air defense engagements throughout the night. Farther north, explosions were recorded in Smolensk, where locals captured footage of smoke rising above key infrastructure sites. In the occupied Luhansk region, mobile Russian air defense teams scrambled to repel another wave of drones, revealing the growing difficulty Moscow faces in sealing its rear areas from sustained attacks. One of the longest engagements of the night unfolded over Saratov. Russian channels described a drone assault lasting several hours, during which the local airport was shut down. Residents reported blasts near the city's oil refinery and the military airfield, both strategic assets that Moscow has struggled to protect from repeated strikes. The breadth of these attacks highlights a critical shift. Russian rear regions are no longer insulated from the war. Instead, they are increasingly vulnerable, with Ukrainian precision drone and missile operations forcing Russia to stretch its defenses, expose weaknesses, and confront the growing cost of sustaining occupation far from the front. And one of the main targets was the oil refinery in Saratov, which is constantly targeted by Ukrainian drones. Local residents witnessed explosions and fires in the city. They recorded what was happening and shared the videos on social media. The Saratov refinery is part of the Russian oil company Rosneft and produces more than 20 types of petroleum products, including gasoline, fuel oil, diesel fuel, and others. According to the Ukrainian military, the facility is involved in meeting the needs of the Russian army. A series of explosions was recorded, after which a fire was observed in the target area. The results of the strikes are being clarified, the General Staff noted. Commander of the Unmanned Systems Forces, Robert Brovdy, commonly known by his call sign Madiyar, reported that strike UAVs of the Unmanned Systems Forces were used against the invaders' energy infrastructure. As of 2024, the facility processed about 5.8 million tons of oil, which accounts for 2.2% of the total refining volume in Russia. In 2025, Ukrainian drones repeatedly struck this Russian oil refinery. The previous attack took place during the night of November 14th. As a result of the strike, at least one large fuel tank was destroyed. Ukraine's defense forces periodically carry out such drone and missile strikes on key facilities and sites in order to reduce the military, economic, and offensive potential of the Russian aggressor state. In particular, on the night of November 27th, drones attacked the Novokuybishevsk oil refinery in Russia's Samara region. A heavy bomber drone, which the Russians call Baba Yaga, visited their position and beautified it so well that the Russian soldiers are breathlessly filming the aftermath.
Пизда, короче. Посту нахуй. Пизда, все зарело, нахуй. Пизда. Всему пизда, нахуй. А ну, совсем дай тихо, побыстрее. Бля.
Half of the regiment is gone. We've got 4 companies and 2 of them are already gone. A T-72B tank driver mechanic named Salban, serving in the 5th Tank Brigade of the Russian Armed Forces, is now at home undergoing rehabilitation after being wounded. According to him, of the 4 companies in his battalion, which is part of the 5th Brigade, 2 have been effectively destroyed, and the remaining ones lack enough personnel to fully staff their crews. Salban recalls that in the 2000s, residents of his native Buryatia could earn a living from local resources. They mined and sold raw materials, bought cars, and lived relatively well. Then, according to him, Putin's relatives wiped out this source of income by cutting off access to the Tugnuisky coal mine. He claims that the mine is now controlled by the president's son-in-law. The coal is being shipped to China, Russia's new masters, and Buryatia remains one of the poorest regions in the country.
У нас угольный разрез, может, слышал? Тугнуйский угольный разрез. Сколько добывает? Это не нам, это все в Китае, блядь. И этот угольный разрез, знаешь, кто хозяин? Ну, этот собственник. Зять Путин. Знаешь, сколько я знакомых, друзей этих похоронил за этот год? Половина. Полка нет у нас. Ну, у нас, короче, 4 роты, 2 рот уже нет. На каждую роту по 25, короче. Даже экипажа нет.
In Berlin, more than 2 years ago, a group of high-ranking Bundeswehr officers began working on a secret document, Operation Plan Germany. According to the Wall Street Journal, this is a large-scale 1,200-page strategy that envisages the deployment of up to 800,000 NATO troops to the east in the event of a war with Russia. The plan details routes through ports, rivers, railroads, and highways, as well as a system for supplying and protecting military convoys. According to German officials, Russia could be ready to attack NATO as early as 2029. At the same time, a series of espionage incidents, sabotage, and airspace violations indicate that Moscow may act sooner. Western experts suggest that a possible ceasefire in Ukraine will only strengthen Russia's ability to prepare new offensive steps. In the fall, Rheinmetall conducted a large-scale training exercise in East Germany, building a camp for 500 soldiers in 2 weeks. However, the test revealed problems: a lack of space for equipment, torn areas of the territory, and the need for additional infrastructure. Such lessons are constantly being incorporated into the updated version of OPLAN. Worn-out infrastructure remains one of the main obstacles. According to the government, 20% of highways and more than a quarter of bridges need repair. The ports of the North and Baltic Seas require 15 billion euros in investment, of which 3 billion euros is for military modernization. Recent bridge accidents that blocked the supply of ammunition to Ukraine have highlighted the vulnerability of transportation hubs. Following Chancellor Olaf Scholz's announcement of an epochal change in 2022, Germany established a territorial command to coordinate actions in the rear. The plan involves not only the army, but also the private sector, hospitals, police, and civilian services. This is a return to the concept of whole of society for defense, been used from the Cold War. In September 2025, the Red Storm Bravo exercise took place in Hamburg. 500 NATO troops practiced landing in a port and moving a 65-vehicle convoy through the city. The scenario included drone attacks, protests, and infrastructure blockades. Despite the difficulties, such rehearsals allow us to test the country's readiness for the worst-case scenario.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comment section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. You know, he's doing the job every day.